Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks, guys, for being here this morning. Let's go back to the game. Players of the week, offensively, Cameron Green, I thought had a, probably his career day. Really was outstanding. Some big plays in the game, especially down the stretch. Big playmaker was Flynn Nagle, the play he made there in overtime. Yards after the catch, I think he had close to 50 yards after the catch. Patty Fisher was our defensive player of the week. I think the stats had 17 tackles. We had 21 as we watch the tape. So hopefully we can do a better job in the press box next week, Kyle. That would be good. Defensive big playmaker was Joe Gaziano. A couple of big sacks, especially that one there in overtime. Charlie Kubander was our special teams player of the week, 4 for 4. You take the field goal and the 4 extra points. 7 points were critical in our success. Jelani Roberts, Joe Bergen, and Chris Bergen were our practice players of the week, respectively, on OD and in the kicking game. It was a resilient battle, like I said, after the game. Some good things, some things we got to clean up, but found a way to win against a ranked opponent, and that's not easy to do. And then you move forward and you pop on the tape and you look at a very improved Nebraska team. I thought their bye week, you could see that they set out to do some things to improve, and it showed up in the Purdue game. Great battle back, great fourth quarter comeback, great 2-minute drive there at the end to win it. And we're going to have our hands full in one of the great venues in college football. You could argue the best fan base in America, and they're rabid. It's a great challenge to play in, and we'll have our hands full with that. So hopefully our guys will have a great week of prep, and we'll play more consistently out in Lincoln. So with that, how about some questions?
Can you describe the swing of emotions from being down 10-0, taking the lead, having them score in the final minute, and then all of a sudden you're in overtime with them, and it goes back the other way?
Haven't thought about it. It was just next play. We moved the ball well early, and then we get the, fumble the ball in the plus territory, which kind of killed some momentum there in the first quarter. And it seemed like the first quarter went really quick on Saturday, and then the game kind of slowed down as we went along. We were really close to getting another first down there at the end. Credit Michigan State. Their DN made a really nice play. And then, we got a chance to get off the field a couple of times on that last drive, and we didn't get it done. So I think it was more just focusing on solving problems, and creating solutions, and then getting ready for the next series. That's the first. Is that our first triple overtime game?
Since Michigan in 2013.
Yeah, it had been a while, and I thought we handled it really well, but it was definitely it's definitely a challenge when you're on the field. Let's say we're on defense. And then we got to go up the next set. We got to go defense again. I thought our guys really handled that well. We may not have executed, but I thought they took quick to the adjustments, and we went out and played. But there were a lot of swings back and forth. That's probably why I haven't really thought about it. We're focused on the next play.
How has Patty Fisher made such a quick adjustment to, asserting himself as a star here?
Yeah, Teddy, I think it starts with his pedigree at home. I think, you look back at the way he was raised by his family. You look at the performance that he had in his career at Katy High School. Coach Joseph and his staff did a phenomenal job. I mean, they've been one of the best high school defenses in Texas since I've been recruiting down there. And Patty came prepared. I think he does a great job in practice. He's a diligent worker, and I think he's really starting to gain confidence and slowly starting to take this defense over in the team. And it's been fun to watch that maturation.
I know how you'll answer this, but how does he compare to the middle linebacker from like the early to mid-90s here?
I think he's got a chance to be better than Barry Gardner. Yeah. I mean, he's longer than Barry. Taller, got longer arms. But I think he's just really embraced the role. I think he learned a lot from watching Anthony, last year, and how he went about getting ready for games. And, again, I don't think he's played his best football yet. I think he's still learning, and that's going to probably be an ongoing process. But it's not from a lack of effort, and it's not from a lack of, I think, pedigree when he got here.
How does his style compare to the style that you played with?
Well, it's a different game. You know, I think he's a lot like Josie. They're generational linebackers. I think Patty easily could have played back then because of his size. There's some new age linebackers that their size, they would have never been able to play in the mid-'90s. And then there's guys like me with my lack of athleticism that couldn't play now. The game just has evolved. It's a much more spatial game. I mean, you think about a couple of the plays that Patty's made outside the numbers, you know, even the fumble caused on Saturday. That was a big play in the game. You know, that's a big 245-pound, 50-pound guy that can run sideline to sideline. It's pretty impressive.
You said when you moved Colin to middle that he would know he arrived when it looked like it did in high school. Is Patty seeing it now as he saw it in high school, or is he still thinking, having to go through that process?
You know, Skip, I haven't asked him that directly, but from my vantage point, I think his confidence is going up and up and up. And I think there goes his performance with it. You know, it's hard to play Big Ten football, let alone be successful at it. And, you know, I think every guy thinks they can do it, but there's still that little bit of doubt inside your mind until you can go out there and do it consistently. You're probably thinking too much, and then all of a sudden you come to the realization, I can do this. I think he's done that. I think he's come to the realization, hey, I can play at this level. And I think now he's trusting his instincts. He's trusting his film prep. And, you know, fundamentally, he's just improving every single day. And that's been really, you know, it's been a really impressive start to a young man's career.
Not to throw anyone under the bus, but how are tackles who comes up with your tackle number? How does that process shake down? You mentioned something about in the press box do a little bit better. How does that happen?
We watch the tape, the defensive staff, myself. I don't chart it, but all of our position coach chart the production of their players, and then our GAs double check it. It's usually always off in the press box. Not that I'm driving the bus over anybody in our press box. I'm talking about nationally. How can you see it when it happens like that? Especially with defensive numbers. And a bunch of guys go into the pile and they give credit to the first person that gets up that was probably the last person to make the tackle. So it's not the person in the press box whose fault it is. It's when we made the decision as an NCAA. When did they make that decision? A couple of years ago that the official stats are the stats that are done on game day. That now the tackles and the production and the discrepancies they have. It's been for probably every defensive coach in the country. It's somewhat comical to see the differences between actually what happens when you're able to watch the tape compared to what's reported. It's always off.
So do you think he had 21, or you do think 17 is the number?
Oh no, he had 21. Well, let me go back. I'll tell you exactly what he had. Keep asking me questions. Take me a second here on my iPad. But again, it's not the fault of the spotter or whoever's making the deal on game day. You can't see it. Right. There's 18 bodies that go into a pile, and how do you know?
I'm just confused. So they'll go down as having 17? But 21 is based on your guys' film study?
21 is the truth. He had 14 solos, 7 assists, 21, doing my math. Right there, half a tackle for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 3 third down stops, hit the quarterback, had a quarterback pressure.
But that won't be the official one. That's just like your own.
We don't really care about the official one.
It's fake news.
You said it. Now, when they decided to put the defensive stats into the press box, it is no longer an accurate assessment of what guys do. In my humble opinion, as a former guy who had 299 tackles and got hosed out of 300, that's all I'm going to say. I may be a little biased. Yeah, a little bit, just a little. There might be, you know, could you not find one more? You know, just give me a half of an assist, a couple games. But yeah.
All right, so it used to be that the teams could determine tackle numbers, and then do you know how many years ago it was determined that a press box version?
5, 10. I don't know. It's been a running joke in our defensive staff ever since they did it. It just, you know, it's quite comical. And again, I don't fault the spotters because I don't know how you see. I can't see it on game day, let alone. And you guys are up top. It's probably hard to see it from your vantage point. I mean, I can't see it half the time.
Somebody decided they don't trust the schools to
I just coached the team. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, right.
And it's the same. Those guys are all down the far north end of the press box, right? From where you sit. And as you know, I mean, you're relying on the broadcast replay as well. Sometimes you can look up and you want to get a look at something, but you may not get it.
Yeah, it's same thing everywhere you play. It's not. It's tough. I mean, that's. Yeah. If they wanted an accurate assessment, they should go back and watch the coach's copy. You get the sideline in the end zone, and you can see it. But nobody cares about defensive stats. It's all about points.
Fitz, last week we talked about ball placement as far as Clayton was concerned. It looked like it was a big step forward in that department Saturday. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, I thought he had a really good game. I thought he was really consistent. Maybe one throw when they got the sack, when they brought the safety from the boundary, probably should have. We were covered, but he probably just should have got it out of his hands. But the rest of the game, I thought he played really well. You know, I thought he gave us a chance to win. We had 6 drops. So we had 33 completions. If you take the 6 drops, he's at 39 to 48. That's pretty spectacular in my book.
I have an open-ended question for you, Fitz.
Okay.
What constitutes a successful season?
Winning games. Winning games. Just keep winning. You know, again, I think that, you know, a couple games earlier in the season, I don't think we executed very well. Played some pretty good teams at the time we played them. I mean, I think it's easy to look at a team today and say, well, they're not very good, or wow, they're really good. It's every game is an individual season of itself. And, you know, you can't control what happens afterwards. Injuries become a factor as the season goes along. And, you know, I think we're pretty battle-tested. I think the guys have handled it pretty well. I think they've been working hard. And I think they're getting a return on that investment. And that's all I could ask them to keep doing. And we got to find a way to win games.
Probably look at if they develop Trubisky well, that's successful. The White Sox weren't trying to win a title. Like in a season like this where you had a lot of veteran guys, is it championship or bust, or can it be a successful season because of all the other good things that might happen?
Well, I mean, I think, again, the talking season creates a lot of the noise that I have to deal with as the head coach that I can't control. Yeah, we had veterans coming back, but this is also probably the youngest team I've had on the field in my 12 years. You look at the amount of freshmen we're playing; we've never played this amount. You know, your extended questions for me about a redshirt freshman, you know, linebacker. You know, so I'm excited not only about the finish here in the last month, but also about where we're going because, you know, we've got a lot of young guys that we're playing right now. So, you know, you're looking at an end of the year looking back question. I'm looking at it right now. We got to try to find a way to go 1-0, and that's my only focus right now, and trying to get ready for tomorrow's practice. And how am I going to motivate the guys when I see them at 7:10? Well, I see them at 6:30, but when I see them at 7:10 and I got the team, what am I going to – I mean, it's that micro at this point in the year. I mean, you're grinding through trying to find a way to win games and dealing with girlfriends breaking up with guys and, you know, I mean, midterms and – what's the win going to be like tomorrow? Practice, so we can put the lifts up. I mean, it's really that mundane of the decisions that I got to make on a daily basis that I've got to much more important to me right now.
Jumping off that real quick, in terms of freshmen, redshirt freshmen, do you think this is the most talent you've had among the young guys?
Yeah, you know, talent's it's like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. So whatever you want to write. I mean, honestly, I just think the guys need to just keep working to get better. We wouldn't recruit them unless we thought they were going to be great players that fit our program. So we think all of our guys are really talented, all of them. Some things come into play. You know, maybe they get beat out. Maybe they get beat up and get injured. You know, maybe they miss 2 or 3 cycles in the weight room. Maybe guys go out and have 21 tackles and it gets reported to 17. You know what I mean? I mean, it's every guy's an individual case-by-case basis. It's I think a group that, especially the young guys, have learned a lot. You know, I'm sitting there in our leadership council meeting today. I asked Jesse Brown, who's on there, what have you learned? He's like, everything. Just how important every step is. I'm still not good enough at it. I got to keep working. I mean, just you got a lot of that going on, and then you got a guy like Clayton that, you know, he throws the ball not where it's perfectly supposed to be, and he gets crapped all over, you know, because he should be playing. But you got everything. That's the way it goes. I mean, that's just trying to manage it and help the guys continue to stay the course, stay confident, and just work hard to get better and do that collectively then as a team. It's fun. I mean, it's really, truly awesome. It's a blast. And the cool thing is no 2 days are the same. So that's why it's so invigorating and such a challenge. You know, I get asked a lot in the offseason, do you feel like you get complacent because you've been somewhere so long? Absolutely not. I mean, every day is a new and spectacular challenge, and it's the other way around. I mean, it's a daunting challenge, but it's awesome. I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else.
Nate Hall, how mangled was his hand? 1 and 2. What's with your guys making interceptions when they have messed up hands?
Who else did that?
Last year, Kyle Kara.
Oh, well, he was beat on the play. It was a heck of a catch. Yeah, no, that was cool. I don't know. I saw some blood coming out of his glove when he came to the sideline, but after that, I'm managing the game, and then they told us he was going to be out for a little bit. So now I'm managing not only his substitutions, but because he's out, now somebody goes into his role, and that guy's role in special teams impacts like 7 other guys. So we're talking through that adjustment. Then they said he's back in, and then I said, okay, hey, you 7 guys, you're not playing now. You're back down, you're back in. I mean, that's so. Again, you talk about roles on game day. It's, I mean, chaotic. Game day's chaotic, and you just gotta, that's why I'm not smart enough to call plays. I think the management of the game, and like that's one example. Being able to have streamlined communication with the athletic training staff. Where's he at? How long do you think he's going to be out? Will we have him back in the first half? Do you think he'll come back in the game? His backup goes in. Warren Long's a starter on 4 special teams. Now we got to pull Warren down. Those are multiple guys that are his backups. It's kind of fun. It's chaotic, but it's fun.
On a very different note, Cam Green has had a couple good games lately. What has he done to kind of, allow himself to be productive and get those opportunities?
A couple of them, he was wide open. Wide open, so that's good. It's good play calling. You can ask our opponent. Not my problem. And some things schematically that I'm not going to talk to you about that I think our offensive staff did a good job of. But he's been working really hard. This is the most dedicated and focused that I've seen Cam. And he's, again, like I think a lot of our guys that are playing in the younger part of their careers, I think are starting to see the return on that investment of time that they're putting in. We only get 20 hours with him. And there's a guy that early in my career only worked on football for 20 hours. Maybe Coach Barnett would say I worked for like 12. I wouldn't disagree with him. Eventually, you either figure it out or you get beat out. When you figure it out, you're usually going a lot longer than that on your own. In film prep, there's a lot that goes into it, and we can't make guys do that. They have to choose to do that. That's the way the rules are set up. And I think he's working really hard, and I'm really proud of him for the way he's responded because he's definitely seeing the response pay off.
Just out of curiosity, was he in because Garrett was limited?
No.
Fitz, couple questions. You've had to use Justin in various alternative ways the past couple weeks because he's been sort of bottled up on the ground. Against the Nebraska run defense that's struggled a bit, is there more of a plan to try to get more of a run game consistently going with him?
No. Nah. No.
And secondly, how have you seen Joe Gaziano, his first sack of his career last year against Michigan State to then last, like, the other day, basically dominating the game? How have you seen him grow in that time period?
Yeah, and he was really close to a few other plays too, man. Really close. Again, very similar to Patty. Zvarian brothers. I mean, you talk about a powerhouse program in the Northeast in Boston. Paul, and he was a great player in high school. And, again, a guy that I think is just working his rear end off, and I think that whole group up front is right now. That I said that probably, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, that the D-line, without a doubt, I mean, that we're playing a lot of guys. I mean, I don't know how many we got in the rotation, 8 to 10 guys in the rotation right now. And that entire group is really focused. They're really working hard Sunday through Friday to get ready for Saturday. Sundays are off day. I'm in here yesterday and I see guys coming in as I'm walking in the building, as I'm going to get a workout in. Guys are walking around the building, and it's not just a D line, but the guys don't have to do that. They choose to do that. Today, Guys getting after it in the run through, getting after it in the weight room. Right now we're setting all kinds of PRs in the weight room in season. Guys are working their rear ends off in there. Jay Hooten and his staff are doing a great job. I conditioned a team last Tuesday. I'm going to run their rear ends off again tomorrow. I just think this group is really focused right now and really working hard. And I think we've played, especially the last 2 weeks, I think 2 really, really well-coached, really good football teams. And have been really, really physical games. And to see the way that Nebraska has responded from some tough challenges early it's been really impressive to me what Mike and his staff have done. Because there's been a lot of change out there, a lot of storm. And I think, Mike's a vet. He's a great friend. He's handled it really well, and you can see that return the way he's handled it, the way that they're playing right now. It wasn't perfect Saturday by us or by them against Purdue, but, man, what a response by them. It was really, really impressive the way that they finished that game against a Purdue team that I think is playing really outstanding. So, and we're going to have our hands full.
Why is Jeremy Ebert suddenly blossomed?
Who's that?
It's Jeremy Ebert. Beginning.
You mean Flynn Nagle?
Flynn Nagle, Jeremy Ebert.
Sorry, I was confused. So Jeremy's selling us our weight equipment. I was Freudian slip.
Freudians.
Yeah. I think Flynn's just, again, you're hearing a theme, but it's the truth. I think he's been really grinding in practice. I think his confidence is back up. That's what it looks like to me. Playing fast.
Did he lose his confidence?
I don't think he, I don't think he ever lose it. I just think he had a couple of plays he'd probably like to have back early in the year. I think he's just been working at it. Had a really good game.
Fitz, some years when your team hits 5 wins, you say, okay, 1 more and we're bowl eligible. I think maybe you do that more at the end of the season. Are you doing that in this case?
No. Just talking about going 1-0, Teddy. I mean, this group's really been focused. Even when we didn't end up being successful, this has been a pretty focused group. And I think they've learned from their experiences. I really have. I think in the past I'd be concerned about a maturity of our team based on maybe looking at records or listening to outside noise. I don't get a sense of that at this point. Will I talk to them about those types of things? Yeah, because I have to. But other years I've got to really be demonstrative about it, maybe because of our lack of maturity. I haven't sensed that yet to this point. But I gauged a lot of that also based on our work ethic and during the week of our preparation. So our guys know what we're getting into. We're getting into a hostile environment against a very talented football team, against a very veteran coaching staff that I think is outstanding. So we're going to have our hands full.
Coach, Tennerly is obviously a very different style than Tommy Armstrong. What are your impressions of Tennerly from what you've seen on tape?
Well, you could argue he had probably his best game Saturday against Purdue and made some big-time throws. That 2-minute drive that he led was awesome. I mean, it was impressive. It was, when a quarterback's kind of hot like that, it was kind of like how Clayton and Lewerke were on Saturday. I mean, those two dudes were on fire. Going back to double dribble days, when I was playing video games, they were in fuego, man. I mean, they were, somebody's got to make a play defensively for it to hopefully change momentum. And that's what it looked like on Saturday. He threw the ball into some tight windows. Their guys went up and made some big-time catches for him. Tight end played great. It's been fun. I mean, Stanley Morgan made some big plays. Pearson L's been there, I think, for about as long as I've been the head coach here at Northwestern. I mean, he's unbelievable return man. He's a great player. I was impressed with their tight end. I mean, definitely played their best game, and they hit their stride there, no doubt.
So Wisconsin, with respect to the Big Ten West, Wisconsin looks like may go the entire season without playing a top 25 team, which obviously makes it hard for you guys and other teams that are trying to chase them down in the Big Ten West. Do you think that the balance has tipped at all out of balance between the two Big Ten divisions at this point?
Frankly, don't care right now. Just really focused on trying to get the team ready to play. I don't know. I mean, we've played 2 East teams and beaten them, right? Now Nebraska beat they beat somebody. I don't know. That doesn't matter about all that stuff. I really, again, I think that's probably an off-season talking season discussion that will be, I'm sure, well debated in the talking season by the talking heads. But East and West makes a lot more sense to me than what we did before. Still got to win football games.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Happy Halloween. Go Cats.